So when you hear that song, Amy, what movie do you think of?
I don't think of a movie. I think about Doug Feiger, the lead singer of the Knack, and his brother's Jeffrey Feiger. Remember the attorney who represented Jack Kevorkian?
I do.
So, yeah.
Why do you think of Doug Feiger?
Because he's the lead singer of the Knack. And his brother is Jeffrey Feiger, and I think of him because I went on a date with him when I
Oh,
lived in Detroit.
there it is.
There it is, yes.
You dated Doug Feiger, the lead singer of the Knack.
No, I dated his brother, Jeffrey Feiger. Not dated, but I went on a date.
Oh, you dated the attorney.
I dated the attorney, yes.
That guy's a douche.
Well, that's why I just went on one date, one and done.
He's not even a
It was
very
just
good,
lunch.
He's not even a very good attorney. Wow.
Well, what movie do you think of? Or past loves do you think of?
Oh, my gosh. Playing 6 Degrees of Jeffrey Feiger.
Yes, we are.
Okay. I'm thrown back.
Why? It's
And which one of them is dead now?
Doug Feiger from the Knack.
How did he die?
I don't know, but he died a while ago.
Is he older than Jeffrey?
No, he's younger than him. I think he had maybe he had cancer. I'll find out.
My gosh, how old are you? You're so old.
What do you mean?
Ex-boyfriend's younger brothers are dying. Good grief. No, the movie is, I mean, you're Gen X, sort of. Baby boomer? Are you baby
I am
boomer?
not a baby. No, I'm Gen X. I'm not a baby boomer. Nice try.
Gen X, what was one of the Gen X anthems in terms of the cinema? I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
Winona Ryder.
Stranger Things.
That's a little too current, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. Winona Ryder and Ethan Hawke.
Oh, duh. Can I have a
Winona
lifeline?
Ryder and Ethan Hawke and Ben Stiller.
Meet the Parents. Oh my God.
Again, a little too recent to be an anthem for Gen Xers, a coming of age anthem for Gen Xers.
Just help a sister out.
Reality Bites.
Oh, okay.
I think we need to make a Reality Bites segment to pass on what we learned from such classics. I'm being a bit facetious about that, as Reality Bites, to the younger generations, because reality is biting them too. And we go back out to San Francisco. San Francisco, employees at Foster's Freeze, which apparently is some sort of fast food joint out there. I'm not familiar with it. Don't spend a lot of time there, only to play golf. Employees were surprised to learn
What happened?
that this exciting $20 minimum wage isn't so exciting after all. Fox affiliate there reporting.
Yeah, Monty, former employees tell me that at first they thought it was an April Fool's joke, but that quickly changed when their boss handed them their final check.
Ooh.
I was so caught off guard. We had no type of notice, no type of warning even. The owner had told me Happy Easter.
Employees at Foster Freeze in Lemoore say they're now out of a job.
We had gotten a text in the group chat that we were shutting down, and I completely thought it was an April Fool's joke.
Turns out he wasn't the only one. Did you guys think that this was an April Fool's joke?
Yes.
I thought, you must be joking. You must be playing with me.
But this was no joke.
By the time I got here, there was people in uniforms ready to start their day, not knowing that that would be their last check.
Monica Navarro, the former assistant manager, says when she got to the restaurant in the morning, the locks were being changed and employees were handed their final check.
I had walked in and he had just immediately was like, you guys are out of a job. I'm sorry.
While we were there at the Foster Freeze restaurant, owner Lauren Wright was walking out. I tried to get a statement. I think he's going to take off before we even get a chance to talk to him. Excuse me, Lauren? But he quickly drove off.
See ya.
Moments later, I gave him a call.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system.
He did not answer, but did send a text saying
Great
in
reporting.
part, I couldn't survive the mandated wage increases. Last thing I ever wanted was to close down. But by Friday night, I knew I was most likely not going to be able to stay open, but I didn't want to ruin their Easter Sunday.
Yeah, he added more in the text message that she didn't read, that Daffy reporter. The owner of Foster Street, small businesses can't survive 120% plus minimum wage increase over the last 10 years. We are all more broke than we were 10 years ago. It's clear raising minimum wage isn't helping. I'm sad to see my employees off, and sad to have to let more of them go. And he goes on to basically say, look, I can't make the numbers work. I tried to make the numbers work up until the very end of its effective date, but I can't make it work. Reality Bites. For more on matters economic, reality, Joakim Book joins us, writer, researcher, editor on all things money, finance, and financial history. Joakim, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Pleasure to be here, man, as always.
The kids are shocked to learn that wage setting by government fiat has some downsides.
Yeah, it's a shocker, isn't it? Like, you can't just mandate everybody to earn as much money as you want them to make. There is some economic reality and some fundamental at the base of it.
Well, right, and so we see this play out over and over again because populist politicians say, well, we're going to, and we have this going on in Chicago right now. Mike Scott was just reporting on it in the news. We're going to mandate a baseline for tipped workers that is going to result in tipped workers making less hourly than they do now when they have a lower minimum wage and people are more socialized to tip. And this we saw this happen in Seattle. And actually, reality biting, once servers felt the impact of lower take-home pay, they revolted against the measure that they had supported, increasing the minimum wage. But it's just very difficult, I guess, to get people to internalize these basic concepts in economics, no matter how many times they play out in reality.
Yeah, definitely. We tend to think we tend to be a little bit schizophrenic about things. Like as workers or in our professional lives, we think of prices and wages, higher wages, higher prices as a good thing, right? And then we leave work, we take off our uniforms or go home for the day, we come back home as consumers, and we want exactly the opposite. We want low prices, and for some reason there is not always a connection there, and so when you use government force, you use mandates like this to increase the wage by decree, even though it's not supported by the economic fundamentals, you have all sorts of other consequences, part of which is usually that low wage earners around the margin of the minimum wage limit, they lose their job, or they lose fringe benefits, or they have to work harder, more intense, or things like that. Like, the economy corrects itself. There are underlying fundamentals. You can't just mandate that people earn more money because you think they would have a better life if they do.
You had a piece over at the American Institute for Economic Research that was reminiscent to me of P.G. O'Rourke's book from like 30 years ago called Eat the Rich.
Yeah.
And you're right, eating the rich won't feed the beast. But again, like the minimum wage, and despite the fact that the top 1% pay an increasing majority percentage of all income taxes, for example, you still have the millionaires and billionaires not paying taxes, and we're going to make millionaires and billionaires pay their fair share, so that you are not overtaxed, you middle income and lower income families. That's the political line that you've heard from the left for, I don't know, my entire life.
Yeah, and it comes back over and over and over, right? You want to mandate something into being, for instance, like with the minimum wage that you just mentioned, but also with the rich. We tend to think of the rich as this endless source of wealth that we can just tap as much as we want. And when you start looking at it, like, the rich are already paying so much in taxes in America. Even from the numbers from CBO, from this Congressional Budget Office, and other like well-respected sources, to look at these numbers, it's like the bottom 60% of Americans don't really pay any taxes on net. Like, they pay taxes, but they get back more from the federal government than they pay in. And when you look at what the top million American households, so the richest of the richest, the taxes that they pay basically bankroll the entire federal government.
Yeah, I mean the
in
just
addition to debts and stuff. But,
Well,
but yeah,
well-
like we are not taxing the poor people. We're already all incredibly progressive in our tax system in America.
I mean, it's one of those things you'd love to survey the American people and have them guess what percentage of total income taxes the top 1% pay. I said majority, but it's an increasing plurality, although this is a few years old, so it may be approaching the majority now. But in 2021, the richest 1% paid 46% of all income taxes. That's up from 33% of all income taxes just 20 years earlier. So you've seen an increase in the percentage of what the richest 1% pay of total income taxes by about a third in 20 years. That's pretty significant. I mean, we always talk about making the tax system more progressive, and it's regressive, and so on and so forth. But the income tax is in the United States is now more progressive than in most of the West.
Yeah, it's definitely catching up to a lot of the Europeans. You know, like the joke is that Americans are approaching Scandinavian welfare state taxation levels, but they're not getting the benefits that the Scandinavian countries are getting from their welfare states. So you get the worst of the both deals, right? You get taxed a lot of money, but you don't see much for it. So yeah, they're definitely closing. There used to be a gap, historically speaking, between European countries that were more high taxed and Americans being taxed at a lower rate, more freedom, more liberty. That gap is closing rapidly, and there's increasingly harder to see a difference between America and what we used to think of as socialist European countries in terms of how they look at their fiscal rules and taxation.
What do you think is? I mean, is the income tax, the estate tax? What's the most destructive tax in terms of wealth, capital formation, and wealth creation? Do you think?
Oh, for sure, the inflation tax. So when we print money, we're basically expanding the dollar supply, which means prices go up, and the tax, quote unquote, that's involved there is that the people who hold the money can now buy fewer things. It doesn't feel like a tax because it's like the government taking it from you. It's the store, it's the electricity bill, it's the gasoline at the gas station. But the cause isn't that the gasoline owner is, greedy and want to exploit you. It's that your dollar isn't worth as much anymore because we printed a bunch of them, or the government printed a bunch of them, and spent it into the economy. And so now the gas owner has to up his prices. And the person who loses out at the end is usually the person who holds the bank accounts or the bank notes, usually the poor.
Well,
so to me, this is everybody understands income tax. They see it on their payslip, right? They even see the payrolls taxes that are funding the Social Security for a lot of it. We see the inheritance. They're kind of transparent. We don't see the inflation tax. We only feel the effect of it.
Yeah, and it's we spend a lot of time talking about it at the grocery store in particular, but I mean it manifests itself in all sorts of indirect ways that maybe a lot of people don't consider, don't connect the dots. Yeah. Mortgage, credit card, auto loan, all of these things where you're paying more in interest for the things that you want or that you need to finance.
Yeah, totally. And there's something to do with we call it bracket creep in economics, where your income increases, but not in real terms. All the prices went up, and so your income went up. And then you jump income brackets because the bracket adjustments aren't always increased in line with prices. So more people now end up in a higher bracket and pay a higher rate of taxes, even though they don't make more real income. That's a sneaky way in which you can increase your tax bill as well.
Yeah, everything about the state is sneaky. Joakim Book, writer, researcher, editor on all things money, finance, and financial history. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
A pleasure to be here. Take care.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. On AM 560. The Answer.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-353-2973 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-353-2973. That's 800-353-2973.